What it do? Yo man, listen. Today I'm going to be talking about how you can get into 40k tabletop. Let's get right into it. Warhammer 40k tabletop is an extremely fun game that unfortunately has a lot of barriers to entry. This video, my goal is to help you navigate these barriers and show you a way I play 40k myself every week. Now, this video will not be covering the core rules of Warhammer 40,000, but instead will show you how you can actually play it. It'll make more sense later in the video. Now, the biggest barrier is that Warhammer 40,000 costs a lot of money. You need to spend money to buy models from Games Workshop. You need to spend money to get glue so you can assemble those models. You need primer and paint so you can paint those models. You need painting tools so you can actually paint. You need a case to carry your models if you're gonna play anywhere outside your house. You need transportation if you're gonna go somewhere, because how are you gonna carry a big box that has all your precious models? Are you just gonna walk? You need faction codexes, so you actually know what your army does. You need the core rulebook, so you know how the game is played. And there are many other expenses that is associated with the few I have listed. However, 40k doesn't have to be so expensive. Many people, including myself, actually play 40k without having a full 2000 point army. Before I continue, I want to say that I'm not going to tell you to get a 500 or 1000 point army. That's not the point of this video. Currently, in 10th edition, at the time of this video's release, Games Workshop have made having access to the rules much more straightforward compared to previous editions. Unlike 9th edition, where if you wanted to play Skitarii Cohort, you needed the core rulebook, you needed the Skitarii Codex, you needed the Skitarii supplement, you needed a White Dwarf magazine, things are significantly more straightforward. And with a combination with other community-made tools, you can actually dip your toes into 40k and different factions without having to fully commit to a 2000 point army and spending all that money. This video, like I said, I'm actually gonna teach you how to get into it step by step. Now, you know me, maybe you don't, it's someone's first video. I do kind of derail a little bit. I will try my best to not do that so you can have a cohesive way to actually understand what's going on. So, without further to say, let's get right into it. First things first, you need a computer. Okay, I know that sounds extremely tone deaf. Draupnir, you said don't spend a lot of money on models, but you want to spend a lot of money on a computer. I understand, I'm sorry. You can use your computer for other things as well, right? If you're a student writing essays, if you're a professional work, of course, maybe don't use your professional computer for games, whatever. But you do need a computer, and it needs to not be a potato. You need to be able to run some games on it. Now, you don't need to run Godfall on max settings, but you need something that is considered the gaming PC to some extent. You can use something more mid-end, but definitely not something lower end. Second thing, you need the Steam application. Associated with this, you need a Steam account so you can use the Steam application, because this platform and way will be the main way you play 40k. Now, there isn't actually a Warhammer 40,000 tabletop video game. Instead, we will use Tabletop Simulator, which is a game that, as you can understand from the name, simulates tabletop experiences and many community-created tools to actually create Warhammer 40,000 tabletop. Realistically, this is the only purchase you have to make to play 40k. Additionally, you can play other games on Tabletop Simulator if you want, right? Like you can play Uno, chess, whatever, like other games too. I just want to show this slide. It's here to show that, hey, you know, I use this. I have over 1,800 hours on Tabletop Simulator, and 99% of this is spent playing 40k tabletop. This is a sick way to do it. Now, when it comes to Tabletop Simulator, the workshop is your friend. If you look at the right side of your screen, then you're on Steam and you click the game on your library, below the play button, you will see store page, DLC, community hub, but what we care about is workshop on the right. Workshop is a place where you can download user-generated content, which we will be doing to play 40k. You can download a lot of different things to play 40k, but I will give you the bare minimum essentials, which you absolutely need to play 40k. There are many more options you have that you can use to enhance your experience, but I don't want this video to get too convoluted, so I just want to focus on what you actually need. First things first, you need a table to play 40k on. Tabletop Simulator functions on tables. Each game you launch is a table. And people and Tabletop Simulator itself make it so certain tables are more tailored toward playing a certain game. Now, we need a very special table to actually play 40k on. Now, we need this table to be able to roll our dice, because 40k is very much a dice game. We need to have the mission layouts spawn by itself, so it's not extra work. We need objective scoring, which isn't like too difficult to do, but it's useful to have. And there are information regarding rules and mission objectives and whatnot, which is convenient to have at hand whenever you need to. I will show you examples later in the video. But the two mods that you want to choose from, or get both, is FTC Competitive 40k 10th Edition Base by the Pants 999, or GW BTC UKTC Competitive 40k 10th Edition Base Hotspur 40k Competitive 10th Edition by Hotspur. Now, both of these tables let you play 40k on them. They are both amazing. I personally don't have a preference. I play on both of them. I think they're both pretty cool. I think it is very much a taste thing, whichever one you want. Some people swear by one, some people swear by other. I think they're both cool. Now, we have our table. Now we need our models. Because you actually need models, right? That's the whole fun part of 40k, is playing with your cool models. Now, models on Tabletop Simulator usually divide into two groups. The first group is Dawn of War extracted 3D models, which are extracted from the Dawn of War games, so they're very crude, but I do find them quite endearing. The second group is photo scans. This is where people take models from the Games Workshop website, or they take models from Instagram, and they feed these models into an application to make it so there are 3D scanned actual models that look sick. Personally, I prefer photo scans. People in my playgroup, they do use the Dawn of War models. I think they are quite endearing. I'm not disappointed by either of them. I'm going to give you the Force Org table, which you can get from Workshop. The previous two tables you can also get from Workshop. That's the whole point. Now, Force Org, think of it as a library. It is not comprehensive in the sense that it doesn't have every single model in the game, or rather every single photo scan that's ever been made, but it's a place that is a one-stop shop where you can find many different models, which is extremely cool. If you want something more customized, something more detailed, there are many people on the workshops that have their own mods, that do their own photo scans. You know, support them, seek them out. They do amazing work. Now, what actually happens, right? I'm talking about these. I thought to myself, I should most likely show you step by step so you don't get just too confused. When you launch Tabletop Simulator on your desktop, this is the thing you will be seeing, right? It's a very straightforward menu, nothing too crazy. You'll be pressing the Create button because you want to create a table. If you are playing with someone and they are creating the table, you can use the Join function on the left to join their table, pretty straightforward. However, the things I'm going to be showing are much easier to do when you are the one doing them. So you have three options: single player, multiplayer, and hot seat. I have no idea what hot seat is. You don't need to know this. Multiplayer or single player is the best way to go. Usually, when you're doing the things I'm about to show you, it's better to do them in single player. Personally, I'm just used to doing them on multiplayer. I just put a server name and I type a password so people don't bother me. But you can just do single player. So you create the server, and what's going to happen is it's going to be a table. As you can see, there's a table here. And then you're going to have your games tab. You can access it by the top left. You can click it to close, or you can press the X button to close it. It's pretty straightforward. The top two rows are usually games that are just like, the top ones are free, the middle ones are paid and whatnot, but the bottom ones are the ones we actually want, right? Classic DLC Workshop. Workshop is what we care about. Now, you can click on the thing that you want. Remember, Hotspur 40K, FTC Competitive, and Force.org are things I showed you. So if you click them, you'll be able to load the table. So this is what you see when you load the Force.org table. This will be a big table. Now, you'll see there are a lot of different things. So it's better to just, take your time to try to figure out what everything is. But basically, all you have to worry about is there are three sides to the table. The top is Imperial, the right side is Xenos, and the left side is Chaos. There are no models on the table. You spawn the models by pressing the Load Model button. If you accidentally spawn the wrong army, you can just press the Clear Zone button at the top, which will clear everything. For this video, I want to make an Emperor's Children army with only 2 models. I will show you how. So when we load the mod, what we want to do is we want to click on Load Models under Emperor's Children, and that'll spawn a table. Now, I zoomed in a little bit. This is just to do the models justice. They're not perfect. Of course, nothing is gonna match how good the models look in person. But I think this does do the models justice. You can see Fulgrim is very detailed, and 3D models are this thing. The 3D models really do the actual models justice. So let's say in this list that I'm making right now, I want to have Fulgrim, the Emperor's Children Primarch, and Lucius the Eternal as my army, and nothing else. And that's, not going to be something you're going to be doing. It's just something simple. So what I will do is I will separate them from everything. I will select both of them. I will right-click, which will give me a menu. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to say I'm all-knowing. Absolutely not. I almost have 2,000 hours, and I actually don't even know what some of these do. All you have to worry about is press the Save Object button. This opens a Saved Object tab. Root folder is where you want to have it. It's going to be an object, saved objects. I will show that. And you can rename it. I personally choose to rename it Fulgrim and Lucius. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's good to have names that explain what things are. It's because, if you have a lot of things, it gets confusing really fast. Now, you save it, and then it goes away. I moved a little bit to the right, so I can, there's not too much clutter. To get access to those models, you're going to be pressing the Object button at the top left of your screen, rather top middle, left of middle. And when you press Objects, you'll encounter this menu: Components, Tables, Backgrounds, and Saved Objects. Now, earlier in this video, I said you need tables to play a game. This table is actually a very different thing. Don't get too bogged down on this. The game tables are found through the games section. It is a lot taken, I understand, and I do apologize for that. But once the ball gets rolling, it's actually quite intuitive how straightforward it is. Now, as I was saying, to gain access to those models, you want to press the Saved Objects button. Normally it's red because I have clicked it when I was doing this. It's white, but it's usually red. Now, once you do, you are going to see all the models that are saved objects. here you can see Fulgrim and Lucius. It's right there. If you click it, they will be attached to your mouse, and when you left click with your mouse, they will be spawned on the table, which is pretty cool. Now, you got the models. What do? You need to scribe the models. Scribing means you essentially load the information into the models. This is a gross oversimplification, but you don't really need to know what it does. Now, what it does is it puts some rudimentary scripts on the base of your model that let you interact with it with your numpad key on your keyboard. That is usually on the right side of your keyboard. You use the numpad key to keep track of rules and the models and their current wound stats. There are also different buttons. For example, 1 is the rules, 2 and 3 is reducing and putting more wounds, 4, 5, 6 are auras, right? When something is 9-inch deep striking, it's pretty helpful to have an aura that shows you exactly what it is. To scribe a model, you actually need 2 different parts, a website and a workshop mod. The workshop mod you'll be using is called Yellow Scribe V2. This is, you don't use this like too often, you just scribe your list and that's essentially it. This usually works 99% of the time. Sometimes it does break because we're just doing so much jank on the game. In my experience, when it breaks is if you copy a model, if you copy paste, like duplicate, a model that is already scribed, or if you maybe delete a model and just keep doing this, it's going to break. Now, that is very avoidable, and I don't think it's something to complain about because, as I said, in my experience, 99% of the time it works. So that's the workshop component. Now I'm going to show you the website component. The website is called New Recruit. It's a neat website with all the rules. Some people use BattleScribe. Personally, I prefer New Recruit, but that's just the way I like doing it. I'm not saying BattleScribe is bad. I'm not throwing shade in any way, shape, or form. Sorry. When you go to the website, this is what you'll be, seeing. You want to press click here to try it now. This will open a big page that is usually empty, and you want to go to home. On the left, there's this button. You want to search for Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. What this does is it lets you scribe things, or it lets you make a list on the website. The reason you select 40K is because you can select other things as well. Make sure to select 40K 10th edition, because if you select 9th edition, it's going to be completely different rules. What you want to do is once you selected Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, to make a list, you just want to press the new button. Once you do, a pop-up menu is going to show up. It's going to ask you for a faction, cost limits, and this will be empty. Sorry. The faction, it divides into 4 sections: Chaos, Imperial, Xenos, and Space Marines, Astartes. Space Marines have a lot of different chapters, so it's easier to do it this way. The faction you want to build is always under an umbrella faction. For example, we want to build Emperor's Children. So our faction will be Chaos, and on the right side we will select Emperor's Children. Cost limit, it's useful to have, so it just shows you if you're over or under. List name, you don't really need to do anything. I know it shows red, but it really doesn't matter. If you do create list, it's just going to be an unnamed list, so it's completely fine. So once you press create list, this is what you will be seeing. Now, this has configuration, epic heroes, characters, battle line, infantry, vehicles, allies, whatnot. You can play around here. It's nothing like too complicated. Battle size is the size of the battle. Usually you're going to select 1K, 2K, or more. Detachments is in the codexes, in the detachment section. It's just your sub-factions of the big faction. Show options is whatever the game shows you. For example, allies, vehicles, whatnot, fortifications. So adding models is quite intuitive, or adding things to the list is quite intuitive. What you want to do is you want to find the thing that you want to add. For us, it's Fulgrim and Lucius the Eternal. What we do is we just simply press the plus key and they get added. You can look at the, you can press the I button to look at the rules and whatnot, but this will show you their points and the weapons they're equipped with. Now, top left, you'll see our unnamed list has 515 points out of 1,000. It's pretty easy to see. If there are any issues, the application or the website will give you a red circle with a white exclamation point in the middle. What this is saying is like, hey, there's a problem. You can often click on this to see what the problem is. Right now, off the top of my head, it's probably I have not selected a warlord. If I were to click Fulgrim, on the right side, there will be an option to select him as my warlord. Now, we have our list, we have our workshop mod, and we have our models. How do we combine them together? It's actually very straightforward. What you want to do is you want to go to list options at the top right. Once you press it, you're going to see this drop-down menu. I've actually never used too many of these. Just delete list and export is what you want to use most. Once you press export, you'll see this new pop-up menu. It's text, pretty templates, RAWs, JSON, and yellow scribe. For our purposes, yellow scribe is what we want. Once you press yellow scribe, you will see a message on your screen that says number copied. That number is the information of your list which you'll be using to scribe your models. What you do is you open Tabletop Simulator, you go to the yellow scribe mod, you click the yellow scribe mod. Once the mod opens, you're going to see this copy and paste your code here. It's very intuitive. You press Ctrl W to paste your code, and you press the submit button. It's going to think for a few seconds, and then it's going to create this layout. Now, we only have two models, and two units rather. The units is more important. We only have two units, so it's just going to spend two things. And the create army button is something you press once everything is bound together. That'll make sense later. So what you do is you go to objects, save objects, spawn your units, your models rather, sorry, and you press the scribe with your left click, and then you press the model with your left click. Which that's saying is you're telling the game this scribe is connected to this model. If I press Lucius the Eternal onto this, the scribe onto Fulgrim, this will override the previous one. And once you hover, you'll actually see the stats of Lucius the Eternal. So it's important to left click on the scribe and then left click on the correct model. Once you do that, they'll be green, right? Green means you're going to click the next thing and it's going to be fine. After that, you press create army. Sorry. Now, create army, why are these models different than them? Because these models didn't have any information and they were not scribed, whereas these two models are scribed. If you hover over them, you'll see all the valuable information. You'll see their wounds characteristics, 16 out of 16, which you can adjust with 2 and 3 on your numpad. You see their movement, toughness, save, wounds, leadership, objective control. You see their weapons, you see their special abilities and whatnot. It's actually pretty quite comprehensive in regards to how much of the rules you see straightforward. Now, you can press 1 on your numpad, to open a whole page that essentially shows you the data card of the model you're using, which is awesome. Now, if the numpad isn't working, make sure your num lock is turned on or off. So sometimes that messes it up. Now, you have your models, you save them the same way you saved the initial models, but name this differently. Name this something like Fulgrim Scribe, something like that. After this, you're going to press games, and then in your workshop games, you're going to press a table. The table I've opened here is the Hotspur table. As you can see, there are a lot of different stuff. This table is how you play 40k. What you do is you press objects, save the objects, and then you summon the scribe models. What that does is it essentially is you just being at a table in your local game store. You have a table, you have your models, awesome. The workshop does have different maps you can be using to spawn in the middle. I will cover what most of the useful things are. Now, I have some of the models, pretty cool. This is the dice roller. There are a lot of options. You can get, pretty zesty, like change the color and whatnot, and like roll dice, order, like roll in twos, roll in threes, whatnot. I don't like doing this. I like it less automated. I just love rolling dice. But when you're rolling like 120 dice, it gets easier to roll it. Now, you're not just gonna like pick up the dice and throw it. You just put it in this box and it randomly spits out results. These buttons, they allow you to spawn more dice. For example, if a Storm Surge is shooting 4d6 shots, you want to spawn 4 dice, roll them, the number is going to be added here, right? So this has 1 dice and the total value is 6. So you spawn that many dice, you roll them, it automates the rolling process. It's pretty cool. This is where you will be summoning the map. There are a lot of options, 1v1, 2v2. I've been playing a lot of 2v2s, it's awesome. Playing 1v2s too, let's go. Crusade, it says coming soon, maybe. Crusade is much less popular than match play, but I personally love it. There are a lot of maps, you can additively load them onto this table, but that's not something I would be covering too much. It gets there. This place, there's a lot of information here. What matters most is these tokens are useful, right? Like ignore cover, -1 to save, +1 to save, different things, 6 up invuln saves, funeral pains, whatnot. This place is your objectives. You can press to give you more objectives and not secondaries. This is the left player, this is the right player, this is the number of turns, this is the victory points, or rather turns, victory points, and command points. So command point, victory point, player turn. And this bar here actually lets you spawn missions. There's a little, pad here that shows you like all the different keywords and whatnot, right? Because a lot of information sometimes you forget. It's good to have cheat sheets. On the top left, sorry, if you go back, boop, 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 boop. So like right here is where I'm talking about top left. So if you look from this angle, sorry about that. It's just, I move a lot. This has the core rules. It's pretty good. I will show another way to see the core rules as well. It's a pretty good table. You can look from bird's eye point of view. You can look from the sides. Camera is easy to move. It right clicks. It's pretty straightforward. You can use AWSD to move the camera around. It lets you see a lot of things. I think it's pretty cool. Now, maps, you can use Tactical Tortoise layouts. You can use the workshop to find the maps. Tactical Tortoise is a content creator for Warhammer 40,000. He covers tabletop a lot, and he has his own maps and whatnot for tabletop and his layouts. He's pretty awesome. You should check him out. He's great. Big fan. But Draupnir, you say, I hear you say, I don't know what the rules are, which I don't blame you. There are so many of them. Luckily for you, there is a website that compiles all the rules in the game. The website is up to date as of now for most factions and gets updated very often. Sometimes it does take a little time for a new codex and its information to get added to the website, but as the wider community, we should be extremely understanding of the delays, because at the end of the day, it's just one person that's updating his website. And this website is the backbone of the 40K community. For years, this person by themselves, I think, are like updating this website. And this website is your one-stop shop to get all the 40K rules. It is truly invaluable. The website I'm talking about is Wahapedia, the best website there is. When you get into Wahapedia, you'll see the option to choose a game. Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, Kill Team, Age of Sigmar, Horus Heresy, and the Archives. Of course, you want to play 10th edition. If you want to play other editions, you can just press them. But 10th edition is what most people play. So you press Warhammer 40k, I can say it. Goodness. Draupnir, he thought he could stop making the voice, the Draupnir voice. But the Draupnir is unescapable, he's inevitable. Every time he messes up, it comes out. Anyways. You press Warhammer 40k 10th edition, and this is the site that comes up. Now, you can scroll down. This has all the rules, command phase, movement phase. It just explains the basic functions of the game, so it's pretty cool. Then, if you go to the rules section, you can see core rules, crusade rules, mission packs, boarding actions, and whatnot. I've never clicked other. I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that is. FAQs and rule commentaries are extremely important because sometimes Games Workshop changes what things are, and sometimes situations arise where you and your opponent don't know how a certain thing interacts. So rules commentary and FAQs are pretty useful. If you press factions, you'll see the three main umbrella factions: Imperium, Xenos, and Chaos. You can press the faction you want, which is Emperor's Children in our case. Then we press it. We see the faction page. We have Emperor's Children, and we see the contents. At the bottom right, you can press the book buttons to see the contents. It's pretty straightforward to find what you want to find. You know, army rules, detachments, enhancements for those detachments, crusade rules and whatnot, stratagems, they're all there. So you can just press anything and it just launches you there. It's pretty cool. There's a feature to see the FAQs. I think it's pretty nice. The bottom is the skull. You can press the skull and it shows you a list of all the legal units you can have for that army. Of course, it's not going to show you soups and whatnot, such as like knights and, you know, getting them as agents of chaos and whatnot. So what we can do is we can just press Fulgrim, or we can press Lucius the Eternal to see the rules. And yeah, like it's a very useful website. It's essentially just like Wikipedia or the Tacticus Wikipedia. Like it's just all the rules you need. It's right there. You can just have it open in a tab while you're playing Tabletop Simulator. Now, the biggest issue is having nobody to play with. In my experience, this is the hardest part of 40K, is finding people to play that expect the same thing with you. What do I mean by this? Finding people is not too difficult, thanks to many Discord servers, Reddit, even, you know, your guild maybe, or your real life friends and whatnot, or your local game store. It's not hard. What is hard is finding like-minded people that expect the same thing from you, or that expect the same thing as you from the game. I love my play group. We expect similar things from the game, and we are on the same page. I find it very difficult to play with other people because expectations differ. What do I mean by this? Some people are very competitive. They want to optimize, they want to win no matter what. Some people are very casual. They just think the models look cute and they want to roll dice, right? These people expect very different things from the game. And if they are to play, they would clash, and it would not be a fun experience if neither compromises. So I think it is the best thing, it's the hardest thing you can do to find someone who's the best for you. It takes a lot of trial and error, and I don't like want to give out like, oh, join this Discord or join that Discord, because I don't want to be the reason for someone's worst experience playing 40k. You know, if you are the competitive type of person, tournaments are pretty cool. Like a lot of Discord servers do online tournaments using Tabletop Simulator, so it's pretty nice. But if you're more on the casual side, or if you're like still trying to learn, it might not be in your best interest to join a tournament because you know, tournaments are difficult sometimes with the people that play. You know, you can just, like, for example, if you're playing Emperor's Children, you can join the Emperor's Children Discord server and like ask people around, say, hey, I want to learn, can you like help me learn and whatnot? And in my experience, people are helpful in that sense. As I said, no Discord server. I don't want to be responsible for someone's nightmare 40k story. Personally, I was extremely lucky. I joined the Death Guard Discord server. Someone picked me up. They said they were very patient with me, taught me all the game, and thanks to them, I met great people who I appreciate deeply. It's my play group. I love them very much. I was extremely lucky in that sense. I did try joining other Discord servers. I was less lucky. People weren't as nice, mostly because the expectations differed. In summary, it's a long video. I'm sorry about that. The things you need to play 40k are Tabletop Simulator, a computer, and Steam. You need to be able... Dude, did you just... What? Okay. Dog is being a part of the video. That's disgusting. Anyway, sorry. You need Tabletop Simulator. You need Steam. You need a computer that can run both of these things. You need a table to play Tabletop Simulator on. You need the Force Orb to find your models. You need the new Recruit and Yellow Scribe combination to get your models and scribe them. You need Wahapedia to remember your rules. And you need someone to play with. Hopefully, this video was able to help at least one person get into 40k. Because like I said, I love 40k. I think it's the most fun thing to do. And I would love it if more people could play the game and enjoy the game and have fun. Two final notes. As much as I love Tabletop Simulator, you need a PC that can actually run it. I wrote that I think lower-end computers will struggle. That's a lie. Lower-end computers will definitely struggle. You need a little war machine to run this. Just saying, it's extremely unoptimized. Second note, 40k is best when it's a gentleman's game. Always be nice to the people you play with. Hopefully they're nice to you. If both parties are very respectful and understanding of each other, it'll be a significantly more enjoyable experience. And only losers cheat. Okay, don't cheat. Don't be that guy. Don't cheat, ever. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate you doing so. If you watched the whole video, kudos to you. Much love. Hopefully, I was able to help someone get into 40k. Have a good day, and stay safe. Bye!